I started looking at the crash data, and what was surprising to me, I've been a cop here for 16 years, I had no idea how many pedestrian and bike crashes there were that happened in the city. From January 1st through now, there's been close to 90-some pedestrian and bike crashes, which means there's been a pedestrian or a bicyclist hit every other day in St. Paul since the beginning of this year, and that's just astounding to me, and it's unacceptable. And I think, I have in working with these people, the community members, and working with the community members and developing these relationships, I feel really good about what we're doing. I think we're making a difference as far as the education and also doing this enforcement activity by increasing safety in St. Paul. We're getting cars to slow down, we're getting people to pay attention to pedestrians. And the other real big piece of it is when we're out doing these Stop For Me events is we're getting a chance to interact with the community members who aren't even a part of the Stop For Me campaign. These are people who walk, use the sidewalks, cross the streets, bicycle every day in their community, and we're having a chance to interact with them and give them some safety tips to help make their walks and bikes and other whatever mode of transportation they use a little bit safer. It's important to have the police department involved because one of the things we bring to the table obviously is the enforcement component. The other thing is we've been able to get a little bit of media attention as far as at our different events. I think the media pays attention to it a little bit more if there's that authority of the police department being involved, so that's been important. And what the police department gets out of it is those relationships like I talked about. We're building relationships with the community in St. Paul, and we're addressing their concerns. I think if you talk to people who are passionate about pedestrian and bike safety, they've been voicing their concerns for many years, and nobody's been listening to them. And I think now that if you look at the Stop For Me campaign, you've got, like I said, you've got the Public Works Department, you've got the Police Department, you've got a City Council representative, you've got a PED representative, you've got all these different city departments that are really coming together to address those concerns, and we're coming up with plans on what we're going to do to continue to make St. Paul safe for everybody to walk and bike and use transportation in St. Paul. So one of the things that we've, one of the challenges that we've had in doing the campaign is there are certain neighborhoods in St. Paul, such as Frogtown, East 7th Street, and the West Side, specifically that we've been trying to work with them to talk about what does a pedestrian safety campaign look like in their neighborhood. We've done, I think, a really good job of working with communities such as McAllister Groveland, Highland Park, and doing events down there. And now when we talk to the residents of Frogtown, we really need to get their input on what does a pedestrian safety campaign look like in their neighborhood. Maybe it's not the same thing as we do in other parts of the city. Maybe it's not coming in there and just writing as many tickets as we can. Maybe it's really more about education. As I've been working with this campaign over the past 2 years now, I've really come to see the need for increased transit. By increasing the amount of people who use transit and who walk and bike, it just makes our city better. It's more livable. I think it will. If we have more people using transit and biking and walking, you're also going to reduce congestion, which is obviously huge. We have a lot of complaints about traffic congestion. A lot of people get frustrated. If you look at some of the crashes that we've seen in the crash data, you're seeing a lot of where there are two lanes. One lane stops for a pedestrian, and the person in the back is either getting frustrated or doesn't understand why they're stopping, and they're going around that stopped vehicle without checking to see if there's a pedestrian crossing. And those obviously are some of the most dangerous crashes we've had and some of the deadliest. And I really do enjoy doing this work. It's been really rewarding experience working with the community members and meeting people out there who are passionate about pedestrian and bike safety. And I think, I want to continue it, and I think we're going to make the city safer.